everyone. We are back with another video right in time for recruitment season on how to ace your technical interviews. This is something that if you're a software engineer, electrical engineer, a technical interview will cross your path at some point or another. This time I have my friend Ankit with me.
Hey guys, nice to meet everyone. I'm Ankit. I'm originally from the Bay Area. Graduated from the University of California, Davis in 2021 and moved out here to Seattle.
Ankit works with me. We're also in the same apartment complex. And we're trying to demystify the process of technical interviews because they don't have to be as miserable.
Definitely. I still get nervous jitters every time I do technical interviews, even though I've done quite a few in the past 2 years. It's definitely something you have to get used to. Mm-hmm. We'll give you some tips and tricks and hopefully help you ace your next technical interview.
Exactly. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Say you just applied to your job and you made it past your first step, you sent in your resume, they gave it the go ahead, and now you have technical interviews. What this usually will look like is 2 to 3 or 5 technical interviews, sometimes in one day, that you have to complete. Let's talk about what does prepping for a technical interview look like and when should you start thinking about it?
You should start thinking about it as soon as you can. That really is a big misconception. There isn't a strict guide of like 4 weeks to prep for a technical interview that you need to follow. For me, it's definitely a different way of thinking than any work experience or projects I've done in the past, and getting used to that way of thinking. So it just, those questions click is something that takes time. So just
what do you mean that way of thinking?
It's how you break down the problem. It's a different. The problems that you have to tackle are more algorithmic based than a project where you have to worry about how different parts come together. And how different APIs work, how two different functions are going to interact with each other. Here it's just one function doing one thing.
In a lot of places they'll say, oh, you should have this 7-week plan and you need to stick to it or else you're going to fail. And personally for me, like, that's really scary because I'm like, I'll procrastinate it and then I'll be like, I'm screwed. I can't, what am I going to do? Yeah. Study at the end? And then you're telling me that there's no way I can do it. It's like when the teacher's like, don't do this project last minute, and you're like, my guy, I'm gonna do it last minute. Say I'm me, I procrastinated it. I have my interview in 2 weeks or a week. What do you recommend doing?
Even if you have 2 weeks, that is more than enough time to get it done.
Look at that, comforting.
Try to calm down, relax. The first choice that you have to make is what language you want to do your technical interview in. So go with the most comfortable language where you have the most knowledge of the data structures and the syntax. Language, for most companies, they don't push a certain language on you, and that's for a reason because they're testing your communication and technical skills rather than you knowing the syntax for Go or C++. After that, you can go ahead and start getting acquainted with the different data structures that you will use for the Leetcode problems that will usually come up. Hash tables are good, lists and arrays, strings,
string manipulation.
Those are the most common questions that you will see. And what I did was there is a list of the top 75 most popular Leetcode questions on Blind, or there's a list of 150 questions by Leetcode, I think, who's a YouTuber. Those questions go over a breadth of topics that cover a majority of what you will see, some variation of. And when doing these questions, you should focus on actually understanding the question rather than just getting to the answer.
Which I think is something that, like, I would be like, I get so frustrated because I couldn't figure out the questions on like Leetcode, and then I just say, show answer, and then I just keep on going.
That's definitely not the best way to do it because you want to understand the question as that might show up in the interview, and you have to explain it.
So did you read through Cracking the Code?
During the first interview cycle I ever did, I in fact did.
Yes.
But I have found that is not the best way for me to learn and practice.
Totally.
Everybody has their own way of learning. Some people prefer reading documentation. Some people prefer actually typing out some code and testing it.
Yeah. I think that if you're somebody who is new to the technical interview process, cracking the code is a good thing to go through, just because it exposes you to kind of the concepts you'll see and how to go through a technical interview, what that process looks like. There's also a PDF online that I'm sure you can find by looking it up. Say I'm going on Leetcode and I'm just like not getting them right. And I'm really frustrated and I just feel really bad going into the interview. What can I do to like kind of switch my thought process while doing these Leetcode questions?
I definitely recommend taking a step back and slowing down. You getting them right isn't the most important part. You understanding what the question is asking and how to solve it is more important than you getting the answer.
Yeah, in the interview.
Yeah.
Right?
And in the interview as well.
Yeah. You need practice. And so I think I was like, oh, I've taken data structures. I've taken algorithms. Why am I not doing well on these? Like, am I just going to be a bad software engineer? And there's like a few things there that are wrong. One, like I've literally never used half the things that we learn in technical interviews in our day-to-day software engineering. And then two, like this is just as if you were learning how to do like calculus for the first time. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like you do this in class on a daily basis. You have to give yourself some grace. Did you ever practice with friends while you were prepping, or what did that look like?
Yeah, that is definitely something I did. I was going to bring it up. It's a great way to have a mock interview process that is more than just practice. Not only does it test you, but it also helps your friend as they will see exactly, they'll be in the shoes of the interviewer and they'll see the types of questions that the interviewer might ask as follow-up questions or during the interview itself. And then you can reverse the roles. Doing
that also, like it makes you a little bit nervous when you have to do it with your friends, but that's kind of the pressure that you'll have during it. So then once you get used to the uncomfortableness, you'll be more comfortable with it. When you're prepping for your interview, definitely go online, search, like the Google employees do technical interviews and all of those, and you can do those alongside those people.
With those videos, definitely do pause and think about exactly how you would respond and see how they respond and compare it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Usually with the Leetcodes, the popular ones, there are YouTube videos explaining how they got their answers.
Yeah, you can definitely binge through the whole playlist, but I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Binging through a Leetcode playlist, I'm screaming. It's the last day. What do you look over? What do you do in the day before?
You definitely don't want to stress yourself out anymore. You've done a ton of practice,
even if you haven't.
Even if you haven't, you have learned a lot throughout the process and have made it to this step. So first of all, congrats on getting to the technical interview and going down the whole recruiting gauntlet. What you have to do is slowly taper down your practice because you don't want to mentally and physically strain yourself before the interview. What I do is I do a couple of problems that I have done in the past to kind of boost my confidence.
Nice. Smart.
Walk through them as you would in a technical interview, and you'll ace them because you've seen them before and have had the solution. So it builds some confidence.
That's
going
smart.
in.
I like that. Something that I also do is I kind of make like a one-pager cheat sheet. Not as intense as the ones that we did in college, but with like the main data structures and then like their run times. So I'll be like, like looking this up in array is O of 1, but then like looking this up in a linked list is O of N.
That reminds me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I know my shit. Like Ankit said, no need to stress yourself out. It's just not worth it. Everyone's winging it.
Yeah.
Like no one, maybe Ankit goes in feeling like he knows it, but
absolutely not.
Like everyone goes in and is like, I don't know what the hell is about to happen, and then you leave and you're like, I don't know what just happened in there. Woo, like whirlwind. But you have to go in and have extreme confidence. It's interview day. You go in there. The interview is there. Actually, it's probably virtual at this point. There's a few things to remember during the interview.
The biggest one is communication is key. You definitely want to be talking throughout the interview. about what you're doing, why you're doing it. The interview is more of a conversation than an interrogation. So talk to your interviewer.
Yeah. They want to help you.
Yeah.
Also, something to note is that just because like you don't end with it compiling or working doesn't mean that it's...
Yeah, absolutely not. As we kind of said, it's more of a conversation. So if you are stuck, just be honest.
Yeah.
The interviewer is there to help you. They're seeing if they would like you on your team, on their team as a teammate.
Yeah.
Rather than a Swede that's going to go and code an algorithm on their own.
Totally. So what's going to happen is they're going to present to you a question. And then they're going to say, like, okay, let's get straight into it. The big mistake here is you do not want to just start coding. Like, maybe you saw this question on Leetcode and you're
You get
like,
a little too excited.
oh my God, like, I know exactly how to do this. Like, for loop here, like, whatever. Don't do that. You have to ask questions first. So step one, ask questions about the question. Say, okay, so when you say palindrome, what is a palindrome to you? If there's a space, does that mean that there's a palindrome? If there's a character, is that a palindrome? Just ask questions that you, even if you know them, ask something. This shows the interviewer that you are attentive and you don't rush.
Yeah, definitely second that. Clear any assumptions that you are making.
What's great is that after you ask these questions, you can be like, okay, so just confirming, this is what you're asking.
Yep.
They'll say yes or they'll say no. Then step two, what you would want to do is say, okay, so at the end of this, if I input this, this should be the output.
Yeah.
And they'd say like yes or no. And then maybe do like one or two more for different edge cases.
That clears up the question.
And so once you have that settled, you kind of want to pseudocode it out. So maybe you're just writing it out in words. This can be in the IDE. You just comment it out. Same thing with everything else. You just have it commented out. You're like, first I'm going to check the first letter. And then I'm going to do this. And I could go through it this way. And this does not have to be, the most optimized, thought through process. This is just so you can kind of do your brain dump of how you want this to look.
Yeah. This can be the brute force algorithm. I second having everything on the document itself as it's written evidence as to how the interview went.
Exactly.
And that's something that they will be using.
Totally.
So just having everything on there as comments, that's perfectly fine.
Once you kind of have an idea of how you want to attack it, then you can start to code it. And this can be your brute force method. Super basic. This could be like an n squared, n cubed if you want.
Whatever you have to do.
Like whatever you have to do to get to the end. And again, this can still be something where like you don't really know how to do it, but you're having a conversation. I'm like, okay, so I think I should do this because it would do that, right?
Yeah.
And then you would say,
and the interviewer would say something along the lines of, yeah, that sounds about right. Why don't you go ahead and do that? And continue.
Or they would say,
no, maybe you should think of it like this.
Yeah. Then you kind of work through it with them. Hopefully you get to the end of that process. If you have, nice job, incredible. And then you can say to yourself, okay, this is O of n squared. Let me think of a way that I can optimize this. So you're on to the next step, which is optimization. You can kind of see, are there any nuances? Can you remember your data structures? Can I do this any faster? You can also kind of work with the interviewer there.
Exactly. So you can bring up any data structures that you have seen in Leetcode problems that always help. For search, my go-to is always a hash table. It takes
great point.
It takes O of n to create O of 1 for everything else. So that's the best plug-and-play data structure that I've used for almost every question. Even if it's a small optimization, definitely bringing it up.
Search, lookup, addition.
Anything at all.
Say you got the optimization, or even say you didn't get the optimization. Then you don't want to say, oh, I'm done. Or say it even hasn't compiled. But you're like, okay, this like sort of might work. I might just have my syntax wrong, which is another big thing. They don't really care about syntax.
Definitely not.
They can like usually assist you in that. Then you're going to go through those test cases that you created earlier. You're going to say, oh my gosh, say I put a cat in here and I put cat through this. And then at each line, you write on the comments. on the side of the code what the output is. And then you can say, oh, this didn't turn out as I wanted it to. But you go back and change it. And so even if it's not a perfect method, that's still fine.
Yeah.
You got to the end.
Yeah. Even if there's a bug, it's not the end of the world. You going through the process is what the interviewer wants to see. You going through the process and correcting your code is even better and highlights the actions that you're taking.
Say I am going through the interview and I get stuck. Like my brain just kind of has a fog. What should I do?
That's happened to me one too many times.
Totally.
And that's perfectly fine. Just be honest. If you're blanking on what you need to do, the interviewer is there to help. Definitely have all of the cards on the table. Talk about everything you're thinking. Like, it can be almost a decision tree where you're like, oh yeah, these are the steps that I have in mind, but I'm not sure which one to take.
Yeah.
And talk about why you think each step is the right step to take. And the interviewer will probably jump in, give some hints, and then you can use those to work your way.
Something that I've done before is I'm like, okay, well, I know not to use an array here because XYZ, and maybe I could go the hash map, or maybe I could do a linked list, but I don't really know where to go from here. And they'll be like, okay, well, like, why don't you try one? And I probably wouldn't have made that jump, but because they said just to try one, then I did.
And then if you do try one and it's the wrong one, it's perfectly fine. You move on to the next possibility that you came up with and try that one. And that one might be it. If not, just keep chipping away at it. They want to have a conversation with you and see how your mind works.
During the interview, you might be saying to yourself, holy F, I'm literally shitting in the hole right now. But don't show it. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have confidence in yourself, then that's not something that, not saying that you have to be the most confident person ever, right? But as long as you're like, I'm trying this out, we'll see how this goes. But don't apologize during the interview. I feel like I've done a ton of practice interviews with people where they're like, oh, like, sorry, I can't understand that. Don't just take a sorry. Just say, I'm not understanding this. Just say sorry.
Can you please rephrase it? Did you mean this? Did you mean that?
Can you help me through this? Something else you were saying, which I appreciated, is in order to do these optimizations or do things quickly, you go to hash maps, for instance. Is there anything along those lines that you can think of that you keep in your back pocket?
With dynamic programming, they're fun. Once you think about it, they're fun.
That's why I have him on here. That's why I have Ankit on.
But yeah, there's different ways to tackle them. There's a bottom up and top down approach, and depending on the problem, one of them might be easier. The easiest way to solve them is come up with a recursive solution, which is usually two to the end to start off, and then pump all of the solutions that you have found in a matrix or an array. And that's dynamic programming at its finest, where you have essentially a cache built in. Search, hash maps are a great way to sorting is always super easy to do. I love doing my interviews in Python, so using the sort or sorted functions.
Do they let you use those?
Most interviewers will ask you about how would you sort, and you can talk about a quick heap sort or bubble sort, and the time complexity for that. And they'd be more than happy to let you use the sort function. But once you're sorted, searching is also quicker. For most graph problems that you will run into, you have to use DFS, BFS, or a variation of it. Dijkstra, Bellman, Ford, and all of the complicated algorithms, including A-star, probably won't show up in an interview. It's regarding graphs, so it's usually going to be DFS or BFS.
if you're not getting this right,
Mhm.
say at the end of the interview, you didn't get it right, the problem wasn't solved, that does not mean that you didn't get the job.
Yeah.
There is it is really not a black and white thing. I've also done interviews where I've gotten it and I haven't gotten the job.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be hard on yourself afterwards.
Yeah, I second that. It's a spectrum where they're not only looking at whether you solve the problem or not, that's a very tiny part of it, but how you communicate
Yeah.
and what your thought process is throughout the technical interview.
Totally.
It's not about the goal, but the journey.
Yeah. I love that.
Mhm.
Nice. The journey of the technical interview.
Yep.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, but we have some final tips and tricks to just keep in mind before, during, after. Something that I do before, because these really get me nervous, is I will do a power pose beforehand, and I'll play loud music, and I'll play my go-to music. I'll keep my friends in the apartment till the end. We'll dance it out, get my nerves out. Something to also note about technical interviews is they are daunting and they are scary, but they're not impossible. They deter a lot of people from entering tech spaces. And so if you are somebody who is interested in a software engineering position or any engineering position, but the hurdle is to do a technical interview and that's the only thing stopping you, just do it. It's scary, but you just have to have faith in yourself, and it's not as bad as you think. The interviewer is not going to think you're dumb. You're not going to make a fool of yourself, even if you don't get it right, and your worth is not based on that technical interview. You in general and you as a software engineer and your coding abilities aren't based on that.
Going into the interview with confidence is key. I usually play music, but I'm going to start doing the power pose.
Yeah.
I keep everything else very similar to my schedule routine that I have been doing for the last 2 weeks. So a simple problem before the interview might be a nice touch, but
look at that cheat sheet.
Look at anything to calm you down. You definitely don't want to do anything
wild,
extraneous or wild before the interview.
And say during the interview, like we said before, you can get stuck. You might not know where to go. This is not doomsday. This is not the end of the world. You can still go up. And even if you don't go up, you could still get it.
And the first interview is always the hardest. Even if you've seen a ton of videos, have read a ton of documentation, have done a ton of practice, being in it real time is a whole nother experience.
Exactly.
So the first interview is the hardest, but once you're over it, trust me, it gets easier.
And after the interview, if you have the interviewer's name, it's always great to email them a thank you, or the recruiter say, I had a great time talking with Mark. Mark was a great interviewer. I loved that he was doing this on XYZ team, and I'd be honored to work with him. Even if you wouldn't be honored to work with Mark. Okay, so that will complete our How to Ace Your Technical Interview. We totally believe in you all, and just take it one step at a time. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. A huge thank you to Ankit for joining us and sharing his expertise. Again, if you have any questions for either of us, feel free to let us know. Head over to the Notion for some good tips and tricks and links. We'll also have those down below. And we will see you all next time for some more recruitment tips.
Thank you to Glory for having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course. We'll see you guys next time. See ya. Bye.